cooking bugs right now. It really smells like burnt bug right now mixed with meat. Either a raccoon, like a wild animal, is cooking up some grill right now, or they're cooking bug. That's pretty nice, honestly. That looks pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. In the future, I gotta get a light for that. I gotta put a light over that for sure. Make it look a lot more nicer. Daltonism poster for our religion. Let there be light. um, but yeah, I wanted to make this video because right now so many people are talking about the end of times. They're saying they see this sign, they see that sign, and there's so many people saying it right now. It honestly kind of it hurts me. It really does. Probably thinking why would it hurt me? That's because I feel like these aren't signs. Honestly, I they're more answers than signs because if you look into something hard enough, you're gonna find a so-called sign. But in reality, it could just be like an abstract art. If you look hard enough into an abstract art, you're bound to see something that your brain, you know, is what you want to see, the answer for yourself. That's basically what I'm saying. I don't think these are signs that we're seeing, honestly. I think, and I think there's so many people that are saying these are signs like this and that. It's kind of turning into propaganda in a way, in its own way, and that's why it kind of hurts me because it's like it's nice to see so many people turning to the right side of religion, but at the same time, it don't feel right because they feel like they're being scared to it. It. I understand there is a thing called the fear of God, but I don't. I don't think this don't feel like the fear of God. This feels like the fear of humans because they're the ones that talk about it that much. It's not like God themselves is down here saying, "Hey, I'm showing you signs." That's not the proof we got right now. Right now, the so-called proof is the eclipse passed through a certain amount of this town named the same name, and it came back 2 years later. I don't think that's proof. I think that's just a coincidence. And you know what? In fact, I've been talking about it my whole life. I think that's a fact that we suck at building. We really do. We suck at architect here in America. And, I don't say that in a bad way. I just say that like we do some goofy things sometimes. Like you'll realize all our suburbs, they look different. Honestly. Like if you go to a different suburb, it's going to look a little bit different. And that right there is a good point of view, because they got ways to make a suburb perfectly. Like I think the suburb I live in actually is like the kind that's built perfectly because it's made into squares. You can drive through the suburb really easily. Heck, you can even. It's just a great place to drive through because it's easy. Get point A to point B really quickly. But then you got those suburbs that have those roundabouts and those dead ends, and it just doesn't really make any sense to begin with. Well, that's an architect. That's the way they laid out the buildings and the way the builders wanted to have it built for some reason. And not only does it affect the buildings, but it also affects the street names and stuff like that, town names, stuff like that. Because even today, you know, we don't really we don't really put much thought into naming a street or naming a town. We just, you know, whatever feels right at the time. That's what we do. Whatever feels right at the time, we'll go with it. And it takes a long time for it to be changed. So of course, back then, you got these 15 towns called Salem, right? Well, back then, the word Salem meaning peace. Of course, that's a good name for a town. So of course they're going to use it so many times. I'm pretty sure if the eclipse went somewhere else, it would probably went over another 15 different names. Would that be a sign too? No, it wouldn't, because people wouldn't be looking for those other words. They're just looking for what signs are for the rapture. See, that's why I say I feel like people are looking too much into it and they're finding answers, and these answers are not it. That's what I believe. I believe this. No, we're not in the rapture. We're not in the end of times. And honestly, I don't think, I'm going to bet that in my lifetime, I don't see the end of times. I don't. There's many things that could take out this planet. And honestly, even ourselves as humans, we're doing damage to the planet and we could take ourselves out. But even then, I'm going to say it's not going to be in our lifetime. No, it's not. Because it's really not. It's just, now you might be thinking, well, some people are having certain dreams. Even myself, you can say I'm telling you all these dreams I'm having about the moon exploding and stuff like that, the moon cracking. But when it comes down to it, of course I'm having those dreams because so many people are talking about the end of times right now. It's getting into my subconsciousness, and I'm gonna be dreaming about it. You gotta realize though that like in my dreams, having these like little end of the time moments, there's very small part of my dream. Therefore, it shows that it's part of my subconscious thought and not part of my main thought process. And the only reason why it's part of the subconscious thought is because, well, enough people have said it enough, and I've heard it enough to be put in there. Alright, now let's talk about my religion and at the end of times when it does come. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people wonder that. I had to make a decision, I really did. A tough decision. Do I want my people and me raptured with all the other good people when the time comes? Because that's what is promised at the end of times. All the good people, they don't have to see the war that's about to come, because it's going to be one of the most gruesome and, you know, horriblest wars out there ever made. Good versus evil, finally. And I decided no. I don't want to be raptured at the same time with everyone else. Because I believe that, if we keep being ourselves, and the point of, like, not the point, but a big part of my religion is to help yourself to become stronger and, push back against this evil ways that you have to face, so you don't just give up. And with that, I believe that it's basically been training us. Like, when the time comes and it is good versus evil, we're going to be a lot of help for the good side. Like, probably one of the strongest alliances out there for the good. So, I decided, no, I don't want to be raptured. And I don't want my people raptured either, because when it comes down to it, I know they're strong enough to handle what's to come. They ain't going to be scared. They're going to be ready to fight. And they're going to be ready to protect who needs to be protected. Because, well, this religion here, it helped a lot of people get out of a way of life that was basically, they were pushed in a corner and they couldn't get out of the corner. They didn't have the power of faith. They didn't have, the power of faith in themselves and a religion. They didn't know what to fight for. They didn't know what the reason for fight for. They'd rather stay down in the corner. Well, this religion came along and picked them up and said, look, you can join us, but you gotta prove that you're willing, you're worth this religion's help. And the only way to prove that is by standing up, getting out of that corner, and not putting anyone else in a corner. You gotta fight if you have to fight. So, with my religion and the end of times, that's what it comes down to. We're going to be around still. We will. And most likely, someone from daltonism is probably going to save your life or someone you know's life at those times. That's for sure. I have no doubt about that. They'll be like what you call them, vigilantes. Basically, the people dress up as superheroes and actually go do some superhero work fighting criminals. Basically like that, but with evil. So, that's pretty much it, honestly. We're not going to be seeing the end of times. I'm going to bet on that, honestly. And you got to realize that I make some pretty good predictions when it comes down to it. Like, for example, 2 years before the COVID outbreak, I well, not 2 years, but the year before the COVID outbreak, I told you all we're about to face a dark winter, a very gruesome and tough, treacherous winter. I told you all that. And then the next thing you know, when winter comes around, we got to deal with the COVID thing. And that really was a horrible winter. But honestly, here's the thing that freaks me out a little bit. I don't think I was telling you all about that winter. I think I was wrong, honestly. I could have been right because it makes sense. But at the same time, it feels like I wasn't like it doesn't feel like what I was warning you all about. Like I was warning you all about something way worse. So, I don't know. For this winter, honestly, I'm a little bit worried about this winter. It could be another really bad winter. It's not going to be the end of times, but it's going to be some crappy times. I can tell it's coming. I can I can just it's hard to describe how I know it, but it's just like I know. It's just there in my head. I don't know. It just is. And and plus looking back in the past when I used to make these kind of predictions about the world in general, well a lot of those predictions were right, you know. I think honestly I think I've been right more than Nostradamus when it come down to it. When it comes down to prediction. I'm not gonna lie to you all. But then again Nostradamus made a lot of predictions and a lot of them became true. So I think I'm like probably five predictions away, and then well, not really. We'll say 50 because, like I said, he made a lot of them. I'm probably 50 predictions away. I gotta get 50 predictions right, and then I can say, "Hey, I predict better than Nostradamus himself." That'd be something. That'd be something to have a title like that. But I guess until then, hey, that's what I know. Peace be with you all. And like I said, even end of times or not, when it come down to it, you should have good faith. All of you should have good faith. You shouldn't you shouldn't be feared into have you shouldn't have to be feared into it. Honestly, if you're feared into it, are you really there yet? It should be your own decision, is what I'm saying. It really should be, and that good faith can come from many religions as long as it's a good religion that looks out for you and others, and most likely it's a good path. Now, if it's a religion to harm you and others, that's not a good religion. That's a bad faith. And that's the evil side right there. And one day the world's going to see that there's actually a lot less, even though it feels like there's a lot more evil than good, it's not that way. It only seems that and feels that way because the evil speaks more about what they do. The good, we do it, but most of the time, we don't use it to get views. If we help out one another, it's just something we do and we move on. We don't want to put in the news. Now, bad and evil, once they do whatever they do, even if it's not even helpful towards them, they're going to put in the news, they're going to say, oh, we did this, we did that, fear us, fear us, fear us. That's why it seems like there's much more evil in this world than there is good. But when time comes, you will see there's only going to be a small group of evil, and there's going to be a whole bunch of good. In fact, there is not going to be no fight. There's the evil is going to realize their place. Of course, there's probably going to be some few of them that's going to be, fighters and boomers in that way. But when it comes down to it, we'll be able to take care of it. We'll be able to survive it, and we'll be able to show them that good triumphs over evil any day of the week. With that being said, well, that's your message from Daltonism, Daltonites. Don't be worried. I know you Daltonites are not worried in this religion when it comes down to it. You're feeling like I feel right now, probably a little bit hurt. And honestly, the best thing to do in that situation is do what I just did. To let the people know you shouldn't be feared into having good faith and good religion. You should have it as your choice. And don't let it be rushed either, because if it's rushed, what good does it do? Really. That being said, thanks for watching. Thanks for being your good selves. Peace out. Stay awesome, people. Peace be with you. Also, here's a good religion right in front of us. See the daltonism poster? Now, there's a lot going on in this poster, but the only reason why there's a lot going on in vibrant colors is in a little dried blood. It's not because it's symbolizing anything at all. But if you looked at it hard enough, you could, possibly find an answer that you want to find. But when it comes down to it, the truth is this. This is just random, basically, as you can see, I went like that. Like, as random as I can, circle lines. And if you look really closely, a bunch of little lines making designs. It's all just designs at the end of the day. Even the little madness guy right there. Design. There's like I said, you look too hard into something, you're bound to find an answer that you're going to want. But is it going to be the answer that's correct? Not really. Honestly. Like what? How would you think of that? Would you trust that answer? Even though the person that made it's telling you that's not how it is? Like I just wanted it to look cool for you all?